Hey everybody, it's Chris with Kerbal Space Program. We are working on the Sandbox version of the Interstellar Mod. So we call it the Interstellar Sandbox. And in this series, I'm just showing you guys kind of what's available with the Interstellar Mod. Also, some basic tips. But, I got a request, or a few requests to do an Interstellar mod, not necessarily the career mode. And so this is it. And right here we're building the center hub, or a hub with four. It'll have four docking port areas, but actually it's technically six, but the two end docking ports that are in line with the station are just used as connection to the station parts. And what I will do is I'll put two large docking ports opposed to each other, and then in the other two spots I'll put two smaller docking ports. And what my thought is I can dock station components to the bigger docking ports, and then when I have a small ship or a small capsule or rocket that needs to get there but not use one of those large docking ports, then we can use those smaller ones. So it's kind of just gives me a little bit of flexibility as to what I can dock there. These huge docking ports are they're just not feasible for smaller craft, so that's why we have those two small ones. Now, technically, I could even put Clampotron Juniors on, but I've rarely ever used those. If I do, it's only for probes. But most of it's going to be either the regular Clampotron or the large one. So that is the build, and it's using the same launch vehicle as pretty much everything else. I don't know if I modified this one at all, but we'll connect it up and then we'll give it a go. We have omitted the launch, and we'll kind of go through the rendezvous, and I'll skip a bunch of that, and then we'll go to the docking, and we'll do that somewhat quickly. But the rendezvous have been coming up right away in like the first or second orbit, so it's been pretty quick. And without using MechJeb, I did use MechJeb to put me into orbit just because I was doing other things while that was happening. So yeah, nothing crazy here, and then you'll see I'll stick this on the station, and it'll act. You'll see how it reacts or how it goes with what's there, and then you can kind of get an idea of what it would be like to bring up a capsule or a space plane to dock using those smaller docking ports. And I will end up using one of those larger Clampotrons for something else. So just the standard docking stuff, go towards, then burn retrograde, and then move towards and burn retrograde until you get kind of close. And then using Navy Fish's docking alignment tool, it makes it rather straightforward and easy and quick to do the dock. So yeah, I mean, it's almost a fully well, it could fully function right now because there is a command center on the station, and then we've got life support and all that stuff. So all that's really next to do is the station, the research lab itself. So we'll get that going, and then we'll see how it works once we move the crew in. Right now we're assembling the science lab portion of the Apollo station using the that's the good module there. It's called the service capsule, and what it does is it makes a hollow 2.5 meter part where you can stick batteries on the inside, and you can also put RCS fuel if you need to, like I've been doing. Just a handy little mod, and I really enjoy it. It's got the 1.25, the 2.5, and I think that's it. I don't think it has a 3 meter part, but definitely useful. And you download it if you want to build rockets that don't have batteries sticking off the side. Now, if you're using deadly reentry, it also helps because a lot of things that are radially attached when you're re-entering the atmosphere tend to overheat. So if they're on the inside of the capsule, then they won't. As long as you have the proper heat shielding on on the descent vehicle, but it also makes it nice and neat. So if you want to kind of keep neat looking stuff, then go for it. Now, here we are with our docking attempt rendezvous, and you see it's a big pile of equipment here, but it moves pretty good. And as long as you center your RCS ports on the center of mass, or have them equidistant from the center of mass, which is a little bit more challenging, then you're fine as far as being able to maneuver this thing. It does look heavy, but it's not as heavy as you think. So we just ditched the fuel because I didn't count the fuel, the tank and the engine, in part of the mass. So if I left it on, the RCS ports wouldn't be centered on the center of mass, and then it would act a little bit strange when you're trying to translate, because one side of the craft would be pushed faster than the other side, and it would end up twisting or the getting out of position angularly, like nothing would line up straight. So we'll go ahead and do the dock, and then we'll see what we got. Okay, so we just sped it up a little bit, so we'll be docking rather quickly. But you can see I'm not really stressing out about the dock maneuver, which I used to be with Navy Fish's tool. It's awesome, so it makes it enjoyable because you don't have to fart around, or I could use MechJeb if I wanted to, but actually doing it this way sometimes is faster. Now you can see the service compartment at the end of the science lab now, and you can see how the RCS tanks are in there, and as well as batteries, I think. And now I'm utilizing one of those right angle ports, docking ports that I put on just in the last launch, and I connect the science lab to one of those. Now, basically, once this is set and I ditch the command ring, that right there, this docking port, the science lab really can't be moved. And the reason I did that was I just didn't want extra stuff hanging around. I am going to put fuel tanks on the station, and then we can refuel ships on their missions to other bodies. But I can also just easily assign a command capsule or command module pro body with an RCS tank or with whatever, and still utilize that. It just changed the center of mass, which could be an issue because the RCS ports were centered, but not really that big of a deal. Now, the last thing we're going to do for this station at the moment, and I probably will put a communications array on it at some point, but what we want to do is we want to get this thing crewed up. So I launched a 3-man capsule, and we got it into orbit, and it took me a while, and I'm not sure what was happening, but it took me a while to get an encounter or a closest approach that was under like 3 kilometers. So I ended up kind of going around a few extra times, more times than I wanted to, but we planned for that with our life support, so I wasn't really worried about it, because normally before this series of videos, it actually took me a little bit longer to get rendezvous than it should have, but I've since rectified my misgivings and was able to do this rather quickly. However, this particular launch, and it might have been just the phase angle that I launched at, it was tough to get an encounter, so I ended up going a few times around, and I finally got one, and then we got to our closest approach, and I got it down to like 0.7 or 0.5, and then we made our rendezvous and started our docking, and then we have to, of course, transfer over our Kerbals via EVA, because I don't have the crew manifest installed, but that is a great mod if you do a lot of stuff with transferring crews. It's worth getting. I just haven't had the chance to install it yet, and I wasn't doing a lot of EVA stuff anyway prior to this, so I haven't really even used it, and I haven't missed it. But yeah, it's well worth the download, like Kerbal Alarm Clock and some of these other utility mods. And we'll be coming around the planet, and we'll be getting our close approach here, and we can see our target now, and we are going to come in and get real close, and then we're going to go for our dock. Now, as you can see, I have those infographics up, and at random times they seem to be like I'll mouse over maybe that display panel in the upper right, which shows your fuel and battery and stuff, and then for some reason it gets stuck on. But as you can see, I selected stage only, but sometimes that doesn't work and sometimes it does, and the things will stay. But not a big deal. It just kind of sucks when you're making a video. You're trying to keep it clean and neat so everyone can see what you're doing. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And then, of course, docking on the night side of the planet doesn't really help as far as seeing what's going on. But we should have lights on and all that stuff, just so you can see what's going on. Okay, so we've docked in that smaller docking port that we put on this hub module, and this is our 3-man capsule. I'm going to be moving 2 of those Kerbals out into the lab, and it actually just so happened that I aligned my capsule almost directly in line with the door on the science lab. Completely unintentional, but it worked out good. So yeah, now that I said I don't have Kerbal manifest, I have to actually EVA my Kerbals out, and they are fun to control, I'll tell you. So here we are, just kind of moving it. Now that our crew is moved over, we are able to start doing our science, and we'll get the lab turned on. Then we'll just get the remaining Kerbal pilot on that capsule. We'll bring him down, and we'll land him, and that'll be it. So that is the basic Apollo science station around Kerbin, and that'll give us some good role-playing science, because I don't know if science is still valid in the Sandbox mode, and I don't know if that science lab actually counts towards making the Interstellar mods more efficient or better. But it looks cool and it's fun. So with that, I have completed the Apollo station and hopefully given you guys some ideas on station design, and even showing you some good parts like TAC life support and the docking camera, and giving you an idea on Kerbal manifest if you don't like doing EVAs to transfer crews. And that's about it. So please like, subscribe, and comment. Give me your thoughts and let me know if you want to see anything else. Thank you.